first time in a long time, I know that the Jackson home will live on. I made my parents a promise that I would protect it, and I've done that. It belongs to the world now.
The Dr. Sullivan and Richie Jean share a Jackson home is a home from Selma, Alabama, built in 1919 that housed 3 generations of Black doctors and teachers, leading up to the family, Dr. Sullivan and Mrs. Richie Jean and their young daughter, Joanna, who entered the home in 1958.
The South is segregated. The right to vote is still being stifled, and it's primarily targeting people of color.
Decades of activism by members of the Selma community, specifically led by the Dallas County Voters League and their team of the Courageous 8, decided that they were going to bring a national light to their local movement. The Jacksons opened up their home to the world through their friend, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
And in Selma, Alabama, that becomes ground zero for what becomes the voting rights movement. People often wonder, why is the Henry Ford taking on this project? We're taking on this project because Miss Joanna Jackson asked us to. She came to us, she asked us for help.
So in April of 2022, we went to Selma. We spent a lot of time just talking to Joanna and hearing the story, and that was very moving and very eye-opening as to the history that took place here and the fact that it was at risk.
Joanna had told us that over the course of the 10 years where she was operating the house as the Jackson House Museum, that she took maybe about 5,000 people through the house. And I said, Joanna, we can take thousands through the house in the course of one weekend. Of course, there were obstacles to consider. We know that preserving a house in its original spot is the best thing for history, but we learned that this house was in serious jeopardy of not being preserved. And through a lot of research, we determined that the only way to preserve these stories in perpetuity was to move this home to Greenville Village.
This is about preservation. This was not about moving a house just to move a house. This was about pure preservation.
The Henry Ford is perfectly equipped to move historic structures. It's in our DNA. We have expert storytellers that know how to weave the stories of the things that happened in this house and connect the dots to what's happening today.
A core theme within the Jackson Homes interpretation will be how deeply connected this particular family was, not just to movement makers and foot soldiers, but to the Black professional establishment, both in Selma and nationwide. Yes, we're going to talk about King, we're going to talk about Abernathy, we're going to talk about all of these great men who were the major faces of a movement. We're going to talk about these women who are very powerful. I'm so excited to be able to really bring out a lot of Black girl magic in this exhibit.
I am just one of many curators working on this project, but what I hope when a guest goes through the house and leaves, that they are left with a sense of what justice is. And I hope that it sparks some sense of justice in them to go out and continue the good work that the Jackson family fostered.
That's what we can do, and that is the power of the Jackson home.